I watched Rick and Morty the anime, so you don't have to. I'm sure nobody knew this was a thing. It really flew under the radar in terms of advertising. There was about as much hype for the Rick and Morty anime as Velma Season 2. And spoilers, it's not very good. Full disclosure, there's only one episode out as of me recording, and some might say that you can't judge a series based on only one episode. But I say, bah humbug! The first episode is the best way to determine the quality of a series. Nobody's going to stick around and finish watching something if there's not a compelling start. It's not happening. It was like this for Velma and the Alkalite, and I have no doubt that'll be the case for Rick and Morty the anime. I just have a fascination with bad media, and I'm going to give y'all my critique and analyze what went wrong. Let's start with the positives. Alright, that about wraps that up. Let's move on to everything else. This was about the messiest start you could have for a series, especially one based on an established franchise. Some might say it can't get worse from here, but to reiterate, shows like Velma or The Alkalite have proven that statement to be a fucking lie. It's not even good to look at. The visuals are somehow a significant downgrade compared to the cartoon. So here's an image from the show. It looks like concept art that would be used for the series pilot before they get a budget. If you told me this was fan-made, I wouldn't bat an eye. But nope, this is the finished product. I don't know how they settled on this art style or how they thought it would be appealing to look at for more than 2 seconds, and we're supposed to get 10 episodes of this. Here's a couple more images. It's just a bunch of doodles, a flip book, Fliporama from Captain Underpants. I wouldn't be surprised if they use that as inspiration. The animation is also super choppy. I don't know if that was on purpose or if it's because I watched on a Roku, but it was like trying to play a game of art, just constant buffering. I'm going to play y'all a quick snippet from the episode, just so y'all can see where I'm coming from. Like I said, it's just not pleasant to look at. I understand trying to create a unique art style, but this was a miss. It doesn't feel like an anime or even a cartoon. It feels like I'm watching some fan edit off YouTube. So the story follows Morty on a journey inside a virtual reality. The best comparison of this is to the episode with Roy. Roy was a game where Morty experienced life and death and lived decades as a character named Roy. There was a montage, and for about a minute and a half, we see him go through the struggles of life over the course of the years, and upon death, did he learn that it was all fake. It wasn't real. No time passed in real life, but to Morty, what he experienced was. So the anime takes that concept and wipes their ass with it. It's a 20-minute episode that tries so hard to be deep and profound, but ends up being more lame than any dad joke. So Rick gives Morty a VR headset, and Morty is playing a game that Rick designed, and he's experiencing something that feels real to him. However, the episode has this plot follow alongside 6 other side plots with different Mortys. So it keeps jumping back and forth between all these different Mortys, and to the point where you can't follow any of their plots. And I shit you not, there was a moment where it just went black for a couple of seconds. I have no idea if this was an editing error or if they were supposed to have a commercial break or ad, but my god, it happened twice. It's like they edited the whole episode using iMovie. Not to mention, none of the plots connect to an overall story. It's like they included all these variants because they needed to get the episode to 20 minutes. This could have easily been wrapped up in like 10 minutes, but they stretched it out to the point where it just wasn't entertaining. It felt like I was watching a fever dream. The worst part, they don't even have comedy to fall back on. I'm not being dismissive like the comedy was bad or anything. No, the anime is not a comedy. They don't have moments of humor or set up any punchlines. The most you get was at the beginning where characters are calling somebody a bitch. Like Rick and Morty doesn't drop cuss words on a regular basis. What was the point of adapting this if they weren't going to take the most fundamental aspects from the source material? The show does occasionally have episodes that demonstrate moments of humanity, but that's not the core. First and foremost, Rick and Morty is a comedy, but the anime tries to be nothing but profound and only includes these brief moments of humor because it's a requirement, I guess. I'd be shocked to learn if the anime was meant to be a comedy, because it really doesn't seem like it wants to be one.
There are an infinite number of paths available to us, but we only get to pick one life.
As aforementioned, I'm not confident the show will do well going forward. I can't stress this enough, but nothing happens in the first episode. It's terribly boring. There wasn't even action. It was mainly 20 minutes of characters talking with no exposition, and every time they hyped up for a fight, it happened off screen, which beckons the question, why adapt this into an anime if they weren't going to improve anything such as the animation, writing, or character development? The best thing I can think of as to why they made a Rick and Morty anime was to extend the lore behind the franchise. Similar to the comics, it provides more material in the ever-growing multiverse without impacting the canon. And if the anime flops, well, they could probably use that as a gag in the original series by having Rick and Morty kill off these variants of themselves like they did with their versions in Space Jam 2.
I did it, Morty! I killed the versions of us that were in Space Jam! Help me with the bodies! Wow!
There really is nothing to like about the anime, except maybe the opening theme song, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the budget went, because they got Baby Metal on board, and it's at least better than everything else they animated in this episode. But I wouldn't call that a positive, because all it did was drip feed us what the anime could have been before giving us the end result. A complete dumpster fire of a show. Even if you're the biggest Rick and Morty fan on the planet, you won't like the anime because it takes everything that makes the franchise beloved and throws it out the goddamn window. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to talk about regarding the anime. Actually, that's a lie. There is one more thing I'll mention, just because there's not really anything else worth talking about. They're trying to set up all these different timelines that are starting to overlap, and I'm guessing this new love interest, friend, and Rick are going to play a key role in the story going forward. But I just don't give a fuck. They've done nothing with these established characters, and there's no nuance to sticking around to find out what happens next. It's just a confusing disaster, and I had to talk about it. That's really about it. So